Okay, so I believe we are live, and we're going to be on the topic tonight of things that could potentially ruin your car or things that could potentially make them better. And with me tonight is Ray from Wrenching with Ray. And if you guys get a chance, make sure you guys go check out his channel and hit that sub button. And he's got a lot of good content for you guys to check out.
Well, good evening, everybody.
So before we get started and start pulling the pictures up and going over our opinions and all these things, have you had in the past any modifications that you've ever done to your car that you look back on and you think, why did I do that? That was a terrible idea.
As a teenager, and I think most car guys are, have cut their muffler off, ripped the AC out, all that stuff. Now I'm looking back, why did I do that? But, make your car obnoxiously loud for no reason. I'm older than you, Roland, so I grew up in the 80s, was driving in the 90s, and air shocks was still a thing. So, the old jacked up car, littles on the front, bigs on the rear, air shocks. That really just, I look at that now, I'm like, oh God. But if it's an old school muscle car, then I guess, yeah, it's still kind of cool, but not so much.
Right. I can't be too far behind you. I was an 80s baby as well and also driving in the 90s. But I think the worst thing that I've ever done to a car was my second car. And you would have thought it would have been my first car. But actually, it was my second car that I ever had. And that was the good old-fashioned stick-on hood scoops. I look back on that and I'm like, man, the money that I spent on that and the time that I wasted on it could have so easily been, had on something so much better. What's up, Junkyard D? How's it going, buddy? Today's topic is ways to ruin your car. So you guys in the chat, feel free to drop a line in there and let us know things that you've done to your car that you look back and realize just wasn't the right choice. Yeah, my first car was that 88 Cavalier. We lost Ray. My first car, though, was that 88 Cavalier, and I really didn't do much to it that would have been considered ruining it.
Sorry, man.
You're good.
I was trying to see the chat, and I ended up kicking myself out of the whole thing.
It's easy done, especially because you said you're on a cell phone, right?
Yeah, I'm on my phone, guys. We've been doing a lot of remodeling in the house, so I have no idea where my laptop is. It is in the house somewhere, so I'm like, well, looks like I'm doing it from my phone.
Fair enough.
So if I don't talk about anybody in the chat, it's because, well, I can't see it. So,
well, if I see anyone shooting you a question or anything like that, I'll try to pop it up for you. I'll do one of these numbers right here.
I appreciate that because I should have had it done today, but I was working on some of my cars, trying to get that all-wheel drive truck put back together for winter hits.
Yeah. All righty. I think I'm gonna go ahead and we'll start getting the pictures pulled up, and we'll start talking about the main topics here.
Let's jump in.
Let's start off with these. We're looking at the good old-fashioned AutoZone stick-on hood scoops, fender vents, heat extractors. What's your take on these, Ray? What do you think about these, man?
Man, I have seen them to where they actually look decent. I have. But for the most part, and I'm talking about the hood scoop and the air extractors.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen people make them functional. But the fake, I call them Buick stick-on things on the side.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just talking about a minute ago. Was my second car that I ever owned was it was an 80 or no, a 94. It was a 94 5-speed Cavalier, and I had nitrous on it and stuff like that. It was a fun little sleeper build, but I did put the two dual fake scoops on it, and after I put them on the car and I stepped back and looked at it, I was like, what did I do? That was so dumb, because the car was already cool for the factor that it was a sleeper with nitrous, you know what I mean? Like, and I had some black 17s on it, some nice wheels and stuff, you know, to be a Cavalier. I mean, Cavaliers can't be real nice, but as soon as I put the hood scoops on it, I was like, oh God, what have I done?
Well, I mean, you know, you never know until you do it. I've done some stuff that I'm like, man, in my head, it sounds like it's, or, you know, I'm picturing it, it's going to look good. Then I do it and I'm like, no, that did not look good. You know, sometimes you don't know until you do it.
Well, I think with these right here, like you were saying, I don't, it would be so hard to make these where you put these on and it didn't ruin the car. Because 99% of the time, these are, you can't even make these kind of functional, because that whole area behind it right here is the stick-on tape.
Right.
But now, like these, a lot of these you could potentially make functional, you know, cut it out and stuff like that.
And here's the thing. If you have a reason to have them on there and make them functional, if you make your car a turbo car or something like that, then yeah, it's cool. But if you have a 2001 Honda Civic that's bone stock, just don't.
Or the cold air intake and the catback exhaust, so you automatically think it's a race car.
Right. And honestly, if you watch tests, you probably just lost horsepower.
Yeah. Well, so what do you think? In my opinion, I would say 90% of the time, if you stick on hood scoops and hood vents, I would say you've ruined the car, unless you go back and strip them back off and fix the paint.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. I would probably almost even go a little higher to 95%.
Yeah. Yeah, because honestly, I think the only time that I've seen these kind of like okay is when you've got like an old drag car and you get the stick on cowl induction, because you've got the big carb sticking through the hood. So you know, and that fits in that 5% category.
Right. I mean, it could be done and made to look good, but it just most of the time, no. Let's be real, a small little scoop like that, and I'm talking even factory, like the early 80s Porsche 928 Turbo had a little scoop, and so did the 300ZX Turbo on like the left-hand side of the hood. Even that, to me, it looked goofy.
Right.
It just looked like it's out of place. It's like a afterthought.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm almost in my age now. I'm almost to where I don't even really like hood scoops. Like some muscle cars, like a cowl hood. If you got Trans Am, like the Ram Air hood, yeah, that's cool. But like for the most part, I'm getting old, man. Now I do like the ZL1 Camaro, how they got that scoop in the middle, and I do like the extractors, and I like the Mustangs have, and I have seen people retrofit them in, but I'm talking like hours of fab time to do it right.
Yeah.
Not just go in AutoZone and, oh, look at these sticky ones. They almost look like the real deal.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I've seen some Mustang guys. They would put the like, what is it, the Shelby side louvers back on the back glass, you know. Yeah. And when it's not the appropriate car for it, it's so easy to see that that's not what that was for, you know.
Right. Like I have seen those where they look good, but I've also seen them where I'm like, oh my God, why did you do that?
Yeah, yeah. I think we're pretty unanimous on it. I believe if you're putting the stick on hood vents and fender vents and stuff like that, you've essentially ruined it. Now, if it's like you were saying a minute ago too, if it's something functional, then which the thing is too is if someone's building something where they need air vents, extractor vents, or air induction vents, and it needs to be functional, then those guys are probably fabbing something up, and they're not going to be using $5 AutoZone stick-on scoops to begin with.
Right? Yeah, you're not. You're not going to be doing that. I mean, people watch like Ring Brothers and they're like, "Oh, I could do that." They sell those at AutoZone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And these guys has got like $300,000 and $400,000 3D printing machines and stuff, and they're I was actually I saw a Chevelle, and I can't remember which company it was. It's kind of a new up and coming custom shop, but they had built a Chevelle that was absolutely wicked. I mean, it almost didn't look real looking at it on video, because all the body panels, the exhaust, and everything like that was all made. The entire car essentially was all made from a 3D printer. And yeah, like even their exhaust, because it was this wicked like molded design where the turbo downpipe and the blow off valve all kind of came together and formed, and it was so wicked looking.
So then you got guys that try to reproduce that and have no fab skills, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. But hey, you know what though? If you start off with something like that and you keep working at it, you can eventually build those skills to start doing cooler things. But obviously, in the first couple tries, you're probably going to ruin that car.
Right.
All right, man. Window decals. Do you think it is possible to ruin a car with window decals?
The locally hated ones, yes, definitely. Because most of the time, nobody even knows who the hell you are.
Every time I see those, I always think you weren't locally hated until you put that sticker on. Now you are.
And I don't know. I'm not a big fan of everybody putting their Instagram stickers on their windshield either, like running down the window pillar. I'm not a fan of like, okay, so like I do have a LSX sticker on my Le Mans in the center, and my all-wheel drive truck has the Holly LS Fest sticker on it, and that's up in the windshield banner area. I kind of like that still, but like if you got sticker across your thing, like there was a drag racer that did it. What was it? Like some cookies or something. Big Newtons. I don't remember who it was, had it across, and it was almost in the vision area. So it was a track only car, and then now all these guys try to do that, and they got stickers in their way. It's like, how the hell do you even see?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think I have seen some cars that the wheel fitment was beautiful, the paint and the body work was beautiful, like a custom wide body car, and it was just a show worthy car. And you'd be looking at him like, wow, that's a really cool car. And then they would have some corny, cringy, locally hated, or something like that, sideways up the windshield across, right following the A pillar or something like that. And then I'm just like, now I kind of don't like the whole car,
Hashtag Wang Gang.
Oh yeah.
I've seen that. I was like, okay, whatever. Like I do have my YouTube channel sticker on my car. So I guess I really can't say nothing about people having their Instagram on it, but it's just mine's small and it's on the back window.
Yeah.
And like the ones I see, like there's a local guy that's got one of those Yee boy trucks with the 14 wide sticking completely out of the wheel wells. lights and everything, and he's got his Instagram sticker right down his driver's side pillars. Like, it looks stupid.
Right. So, like for the longest time, I only had two stickers on Reaper. On the back glass, it said Project Reaper, and it was in flat black. So it was actually kind of hard to see. And I did that on purpose, like, because I even had people tell me, they was like, it's kind of hard to see that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's kind of the point. Like, it's a subtle kind of thing. You know what I mean? And then across the front windshield, it's not very big. It's only about this tall, but it goes across the main top of the windshield where the factory tint is. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The real black part. And it's in flat black, and it says zero boost, because Reaper's been a naturally aspirated car ever since I've owned it. And I kind of planned on it being that way forever until just here recently. I thought about doing a turbo upgrade when we did the 8-in-1.
See, and that's cool though. I mean, like I said, up in that windshield banner area, if you put a sticker up there, that's cool. Unless you got a Honda Civic and you got a great big Honda sticker up there, or your last name across there.
Yeah. I always thought that was a little corny as well.
That's a tramp stamp on your car.
That's a front tramp stamp. But I can't tell you how many people like saw me racing. They would come to the pits because we've got an event that's right here in front of my house, walking distance my house. There's an airport right beside my house here. And once a year, we have the Hillbilly Arm Drop Drags. It's like old school arm drop street racing. Big event, really big event.
Yeah, we have one of those local too.
Do you? I mean, they're awesome.
Actually, no, it got shut down because somebody died out there a couple years ago.
Man.
Trans Am, he flipped it, and then it's all the safety stuff in the world. Just one of them fluke things. Car flipped over at the big end of the track, and it landed upside down, and a pole went through the T-top.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even if you had a cage, I mean, that's not really going to...
It was fully caged car. But it was like Final Destination shit. So
yeah.
But
I mean, that's freak accident. I mean, they can't really...
But they shut it down. It was at an airport, so... I'm actually a big fan of those types of races.
Right. But what I was saying about my front windshield decal, I had people who had come and seen me race for years, 5, 6, 7 years, and come down to the pits and hang out with me for a while and look at the car and stuff like that. And then one year they were like, oh, I just now saw that zero boost up here across the windshield. They was like, how long you had that? And I'm like, since I've owned it, and so it was like one of those things that very, very few people actually saw. And it's still there today. I put that sticker on the car when I bought it in 2008, and it's been there ever since.
Well, I see, here's the thing. Like, I feel kind of like I'm being hypocritical because I have a whole car covered in stickers, or vinyl decals, I guess you should say, in the Le Mans with all the race car livery stuff on it. But I mean, it was all planned out, nothing like afterthought, and It turned out good. And it can be done if you plan it out and do it right. But
that's what I was going to say was it. If it depends. It kind of depends on the car. Like I have all these stickers that you see here was something that I had just done this past No Name, or not the very last one, because I didn't get to go to that one, but the second one that we had. And I had never done this before, but the car has been getting farther and farther and farther away from being like a street car. It's practically a full-blown race car at this point. I just drive it on the street. And that's a big difference. A street car and a race car you drive on the street, two different things.
Have you ever had anybody ask you what you consider a race car? I'm like, I don't know. If they'll let me tag it, it's a street car, man. Like, if I can drive it down to the drive-through, I mean, I have to shut it off, but
Right.
And get ice cream and come home, then it's a street car.
And this is actually a live that I plan on doing later at some point, and love to have you on that one as well if you'd like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is the big debatable topic of what's a race car and what's a street car, because I have seen, I think Street Outlaws is what really started putting a spotlight on the term street car, because when that show first came out, they was like, we got the world's fastest street cars. And they were, pro mods running on race fuel. And I'm like, they're not like, you know what I mean? Like, those are not even street legal. Just because you drive it on the street doesn't mean that was a street car.
So the drag and drive events have really opened it up. And we won't get into that too much because we're getting off topic for you.
But Larry Larson and those guys, man.
I mean, you got some 4-second cars and they're driving hundreds of miles. So is it a street car? Yeah. That there's no way around it, but I mean, as long as your insurance company don't find out.
But I just decided on doing these things this past time, and the reason so is because the car is becoming more and more race car, and I've been open to the fact of like picking up sponsors. So like Sam Strano with Strano Performance Parts. I've got his full sway bar suspension, coilover kit, and stuff like that. And he specializes in high performance handling suspension parts for F bodies and stuff. So obviously, Reaper being a road course car, I'd like to get in with him. Me and him's been talking and stuff. So I think that when you're looking at decals that are like this, when it's like sponsorships and stuff, then I see those as kind of being cool.
Right. Like my car, I don't have a sticker on my car that it doesn't have those parts on it.
Right.
So like I haven't put any stickers on it. Like it's got the Holley EFI, it's got BTR, Tick Performance, Like every sticker on there is a part that I have. And quite a few of those are actually sponsors. So like not monetarily, but like we'll give you a discount on your parts, and we'll, throw your sticker on the car, and that's fine with me. That's cool. I like to do stuff like that. But if you go to Jegs and order the sticker pack and throw everything on the back window of your truck, I mean, like my old truck, I have YouTube. I don't think I have yours. I don't think I have one of your stickers. May have to need one. But
I'll totally send you one. I know the very first No Name, I barely made it there. Like I actually had to borrow money to get there. So I didn't have the money to bring stickers. And then the second year I was able to bring some stickers and pass a few out.
See, that the second one I went to, I brought a bunch of stickers, but I just forgot to give them out. It was like,
oh, really?
Hello. Let's say Mama M.
Yeah. M looks like 3. That's God, why am I so bad with names?
Speaking of M3 and stickers, the BMW guys, every one of them puts the BMW slashes down the front.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Corvette guys whenever they're new to Corvettes and they automatically want to put the Grand Sport stripes on them, and it's not a Grand Sport.
Right, Grand Sport stripes are cool as hell on a Grand Sport.
On a Grand Sport, yeah.
And that's like the Challenger RT stripes. Like, oh, okay, I got you. Well, hello, Colleen. The RT stripes, and then the really, really, really cringy one to me is the claw marks on the headlight.
Yeah.
And
I see those on the Challengers and the Hellcats and stuff a lot.
Okay, I'm going to call out some Mopar people, and I'm not picking on you, but what the hell is going on with the Mopar community and the Challengers and Chargers, man? They're like underglow stickers, weird crap.
You know what? I can look past all that. I can look past the stickers. I can look past the underglow, because I went through an underglow phase at one point in time, because I did get pretty inspired whenever I was a young adult, whenever the Fast and Furious movie came out and stuff. And
Okay, we all did, yeah.
You know, I liked it for a short period of time. I was into it and then over it. But if you like that thing, cool.
Well, I did too, but we got tickets for it.
Oh,
and, yeah, it was illegal in Kansas, so.
Okay. But what I cannot stand, it irks the live. I want to pull people over and just yell at them and say, "Stop it!" Is leaving the splitter guards on, the yellow splitter guard. I can't stand that. That's the same thing as people wearing hats then they leave the sticker on it.
Right.
And I try to explain to people, I'm like, that would be like getting a new phone and leaving the plastic peel on the top of it and just leaving it there. Like,
so, Kyle, I can't remember his last name. He's from Canada. His wife has a Hellcat, and she taped bananas to the splitter on the front of it. I almost died when I saw it. I was like, all right, that is exactly what it looks like.
I went to a car show a while back, and there was a 5th gen Camaro, and they had duct taped yellow pool noodles to their splitter. I thought that was pretty funny.
Not like I said, I'm not picking on the Mopar guys, but it just seemed like they have become the new tuners.
Yeah, I mean, anytime something starts to become a little popular, then everyone kind of jumps on that bandwagon. And in the past 4 or 5 years, the Challengers and the Chargers and stuff have become really popular. So
I just figure they're the same people that owns Jeeps. Okay.
God, don't get me started on the Jeeps. Listen, up here where I live, there's a Jeep club, and there is an absolute ton. Like, I didn't realize how many Jeeps are in this county. There is a lot. Every time that we have like a parade or something around town, you know, everyone's welcome to join in on the parade and bring their muscle cars or their lifted trucks and stuff like that. And the Jeep club gets together every time, and we have like a 5-minute procession of Jeeps.
And they, oh my gosh, they decorate their Jeeps for the holidays. Okay.
Here's what irks me on them. All right. I have nothing wrong. I see nothing wrong with people building off-road mall crawlers. Okay.
Right.
As long as you, because I've got a couple buddies actually that have some big lifted trucks that's never seen mud, but they'll admit it. They'll straight up tell you, nah, man, I built this thing because this is how I like it, and I want to keep it clean. And that's awesome, dude. Because I mean, hey, you're doing your passion, you're doing your thing. What I can't stand is these people who build these big jacked up mall crawlers with, you know, $50,000 paint jobs, and they've got the rock lights up in the fender wells, and they've got the neon things going around the brake discs somehow.
Oh.
I don't know how that works. And they've got the sticker. Hang on, and they got the stickers on the side that has some corny off-road slogan like "the Dirt Destroyer" or "the Trail Monster," or, you know, just something. What was that one? It was like the Baja Demon. You know, and I'm like, it's never Project Reaper has seen more dirt than these Jeeps, and I just can't stand those corny slogans when they have never seen dirt.
Right, I 100% agree with you.
But like I said, if you want to build a mall crawler and you just say, hey man, this thing's a mall crawler, but this is how I like to build it, cool, man. You know what I mean?
Here's the way I look at it, though. If you got a guy that spends a bunch of money on a Jeep and they put lockers in it, rock sliders, you know, all the cool shit, and they never take it off road, but when they sell it, man, that's a good buy for me. I don't have to do all that shit.
There you go. You know, speaking of which, just last week, okay, when someone says a Hummer H2, I automatically think of a non very capable, you know, I figure most people who buy a Hummer H2 is someone who wants to appear like they have an off-road vehicle but never plan on going.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts on it. You know, I could be wrong. But I saw an H2 the other day that was heavily lifted on 37s. It had a very modest tubular, like a Baja style front bumper with a winch, and a tubular rear bumper with the shackles. And he had a roof rack that had a spare tire, an off-road jack, and those traction ladders. And the paint looked a little rough, and the truck was dirty. And there was no light bars, no stickers, and I was like, you know what? I feel like that truck has seen some off-road time, and I dig it.
Okay, so around here, the big thing now is everybody spends like $1,500 to $5,000 on a rooftop tent for their vehicle, and I guarantee you that thing has never been opened.
Yeah, yeah. Overlanding has kind of become like the new, like when Jeeps came out and everyone was doing like everyone's getting a Jeep, right? Like everyone's getting a Jeep, everyone's getting the Ducks and stuff. That's still the popular thing, especially around here. But when those started coming out, that kind of become the new Jeep thing. Yeah.
And I have no problem with overlanding. Overlanding is awesome.
Oh, like I love it.
Your Blazer would be awesome for overlanding.
I'm actually planning on putting a rooftop tent on Echo. But I can tell you one thing. I have slept on the top of that truck about 5 or 6 times, and I've slept in the back of it over 30 times.
I don't doubt that.
So I would definitely use a tent if I had the rooftop tent for it.
I think overlanding is awesome. I'd love to do it, but
I agree.
Like the other day, I seen a Jeep. What is those little bitty? Not a Liberty. It's even smaller than that. Jeep.
I know what you're talking about. The one with the little X tail locks.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called, but I know what you're talking about.
So I seen one of those with the rooftop tent. I was like, yeah, there's no way in hell you're taking that off road. It's front wheel drive, man. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Stereo systems, subwoofers, amplifiers, big subsystems. What do you think, man?
See, I'm a bass head, man, from back in the day.
Yeah.
I used to do the DB drags and stuff.
Yeah, so did I, man. Love it.
But like some of these, yeah, they're nice. But man, I don't know. Whenever it takes out functionality, that's kind of when I don't know. It all depends. If that's what you're into, I guess, then I don't really have nothing to say about car audio stuff.
I personally dig it. I don't feel like you will ruin a car if you do a good clean install. Now, I personally have done some really shabby installs back when I was 14, 15 years old to my first little car that I had. And oh yeah. Oh, at one point in time, I was rocking the Sony Explodes from Walmart.
Man, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. You know what though? For crappy Walmart subs and the crappy Sony Explode amp, the 7 months that it lasted before they popped, they didn't do bad. I mean, they sounded pretty good to be as cheap as they were.
So in high school, I guess I had an 85 Super Sport Monte Carlo. And we made it in class. I had 4 JL10s with a clear plexiglass box in the trunk.
That's cool.
And it was cool. Heavy as hell. And I mean, it's just because we could, but
yeah.
So I was into the car audio stuff. So I did car audio stuff. I can't really.
I've had a system in every single vehicle that I have ever owned.
Now, my only complaint is if you're driving by my house at 11 o'clock at night and you're rattling my windows, that's when I draw the line.
Yeah, I mean, people definitely go overboard with it. I do feel like at least 30%, and I could be wrong on this, but I feel like at least 30 to 40% of people who build big systems, they do it as like a flex, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
They turn it up really loud because they want you to hear it and they want you to be like, oh man, that's so loud. I genuinely enjoy a good quality sound system. Like I don't need 215s, that shake my car apart. I'm perfectly fine with. Honestly, I had I had one single competition 8-inch sub that was in a Tahoe at one point, and I know that sounds like that would be completely useless and underpowered, but it was plenty enough to shake the mirrors, and it sounded great. And you know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm gonna bring up something else with car audio.
All right.
When you put a nice system in your car, but you don't do any sound deadening, and every body panel on the car is vibrating at a stoplight.
Yeah, it's like she was just saying, or Mopar's Mustangs and minivans was just saying. Yeah.
Like when you're trying, sometimes you can't get it to stop. Like I've had, like my Monte Carlo SS, my trunk spoiler rattled no matter what I did. But you hear those ones, it's like the tags rattling so bad, the trunk's rattling is like, okay, it sounds good inside. But holy crap, everybody at the stoplight's like, man, that thing's gonna fall apart.
Yeah. I went to my first car that I had, the Jewel, the one that's out here that I'm planning on doing the all-wheel drive conversion on. Now I did have an extremely overkill system in it. I had 215s in the trunk with a 1800 watt amp, and it would flex the entire car. So what I ended up doing was I pulled the tail lights off and the license plate off, and I'd gotten we went to the scrapyard and we had found like an old rubber mining belt.
Oh, okay.
And I cut it out of the shape of the license plate and drilled holes in it. And then so I put it behind my license plate. I found out where it was rattling in my tail lights, and I put that mining belt behind my tail lights, and kind of even had to like take a die grinder and kind of grind some of the plastic out in my tail light, the back part of my tail light, so it would mount back in with that rubber in there. And that completely took all the rattling away in the trunk area. And it was a lot of work, but I mean, and it didn't make any sound difference inside the car, but on the outside, it didn't sound, like somebody was shaking a metal maraca everywhere.
Right.
So,
the car audio doesn't ruin a car.
I don't feel like it does. Because I mean, most cars, even if like this right here, like these systems are here, their trunks are now completely unusable. You can't do anything with that trunk except for enjoy it for what it looks like and stuff. But I mean, you can always put groceries in the back seats or whatever, like.
But 90% of those, you can pull all that out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, yeah.
But like one of the stupidest things I ever did back in the day, I had a 79 Malibu, and I cut out where the 6x9s was and put two 10-inch kickers back there.
Yeah.
Totally ruined the car. The package shelf is gone now, but stupid. And it didn't sound good. But, I mean, whatever.
I would have to say that, I mean, like you said, there are a way that you could do it that could ruin a car. But I think I would say generally, most of the time, a system wouldn't ruin one. All right, let's get into suspension.
Oh, boy.
What do you think, man? Can suspension ruin a car?
The top two, yes. The bottom one, hell no. I want a 64 Impala.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. Everybody I know, after they watched Boys in the Hood and saw them coming around the corner on 3 wheels, like I want that.
Yeah. I dig them, dude. I like that. I like those, and I like airbags too. I'm a big fan of the airbag setup. I actually found out not too long ago that there's a company that makes airbag systems for like road racing.
Yeah.
Which blew my mind. And if you get the big high-tech kit, you can adjust your ride height for different tracks. If you're on a nice, smooth, perfect track, you can slam that thing to the ground. And if you're on more of a bumpier track, like let's just say like the Nürburgring, then you could raise it up. but it also had a vectoring, what's it called, accelerometer in it with the kit. And it amazes me that it would be fast enough to do this. That's what blew my mind. But they stated that when you would come into a curve, when it sensed that the car was coming into, say, like a left curve, it would automatically increase the pressure on the right side of the car by about 4 pounds.
See, now that's freaking cool.
That's insane. And then same thing too, like under heavy braking, it would actually reduce air pressure a little bit in the rear and increase it in the front to help keep the nose from diving so hard. So I was like, well, if I ever get rich, I know what Reaper's getting.
But camber, I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I hate it more than the squatty potty trucks. So me and my daughter went to Alabama, and dear God, I saw some of those. I'm like, how can you even drive like that? You can't see.
I can't stand the stanced cars like the one that's in this picture right here. Now take that out, put tires that fit the wheel properly and put the proper camber back on it. That's a cool car.
Right.
But
I love slammed cars. I do. Like, you can body drop it, do whatever. It's cool.
I agree.
Whenever you're riding on 1/4 inch of your tire.
Yeah. I don't like that just because you're purposefully like damaging your car and like ruining the tires really quick for what? But now the squatted trucks, I despise. That is the dumbest car mod you could ever possibly do. It looks ridiculous. It's dangerous as a cock gun. It's stupid. Straight up stupid. And I'm a big supporter of like, hey man, modify your vehicle the way you want. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a fan of cookie cutter builds.
Right.
And as much as I love Camaros, the Camaro community is full of cookie cutter builds.
What?
2810.5 or I'm sorry, 2810.5 slicks, single turbo, and Holly low rise intake. Like that's like the bread and butter of like every Camaro guy that you meet. Hardly, it's like that's the one. That's if you ain't got those on them, then it's trash. So I can't stand cookie cutter builds. I'm all about do what you want to your vehicle, but squatted trucks, my God, I can't.
You remember back in the day, you go to the track and every 5.0 Mustang had drag lights or Well Pro Stars on them.
Yeah.
Like the Flowmasters, and that was the thing, and that's the same thing.
But
I don't know where the squatted truck originated. I have no idea who started that.
I feel like it was actually, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like the idea of it probably started with the lowriders where they would, be able to raise it up and stuff like that, because that was cool. But the difference with the lowriders is you raise it up and you're doing your thing, but then you can lower it back down so you can see where you're going. You know what I mean?
So how do you feel about donks?
About what now?
The donks. The like Impala with 24-inch wheels and 6 inches of lift.
I think it's hideous. I mean, like, now, again, that fits in the category for me of like, if that's what you love, then I respect that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, if you put your heart and soul into it and that's what you love building, then that's cool, man.
Now, have you ever watched
not my cup of tea.
Have you ever watched the donk drag races? And some of those cars freaking get down with those.
Some of those cars boggle my mind because I don't understand how they can 60 foot the way that they do on rubber bands.
Right. I can't get my car to 60 foot like that. So there's some suspension work done. Somebody's a genius on suspension.
I mean, and you would have to be good at setting your suspension up in order to get a car like that to 60 foot, because that's just, there's no give in a tire like that.
Right. Yeah, but suspension, yes, suspension can definitely ruin a car.
100%. I had a buddy of mine who had a Honda Del Sol, and he had hydraulics on it, and it was super cool, like in the parking lots, like bouncing it around and raising it and lowering it. I'm like, man, this is so cool. And he took me for a ride in it, and we took a little ride around town and came back. And by the time I got back, I thought for sure that I was going to be like peeing blood and my teeth were broken. And I was like, how do you live with this thing? It felt like you were riding on bricks.
Okay, so when I was in high school, I had a little S10, and we heated up the coils in the front, and we slammed that thing like hardcore, and it was the worst ride. It was like that for like a week, and I went to the junkyard and got stock stuff. It was like,
yeah,
it just go down the road and just bounce. I was like, okay, this is stupid. Not doing this again.
And and for people who's like attempting to have like a little bit of a performance kind of gain, when people cut corners and they get like some really cheap China coilovers, and the dampering is like way off, the spring rate's way too high, so the car bounces like it's a go-kart going down the road, ruined. I mean,
right.
That's
and it's not safe.
No. So I definitely feel like if you're not careful, suspension can absolutely ruin a car.
But at the same time, suspension can make a car. So the stance of a vehicle can make or break it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, if you get it right, yeah.
So you're going to be seeing the Le Mans go through a phase change now. So keep your eye on that, because it's going to be cool.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, keep us in the loop on it. I'm down for that. All right, full body wraps. What do you think, man?
Done right, yes. Those absolutely.
See you, Tebow.
Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by.
I have to say, if the car's clean, like, and what I mean by clean is, I've seen people put full body wraps on cars where they still had like old junk steel, like steely wheels, and it really needed body work and stuff, and they would still put like a full body wrap on it. I'm not a fan of that, because I feel like you should be paying attention to the areas that kind of need it more. But if you got a car that's already clean, good body, got a good set of wheels, I don't think I've ever seen a wrap that I just thought was like, oh, you've ruined that car.
The one that I hate is when you see a Ferrari with a patina, like fake rust wrap, is like
a carbon fiber car with,
or a Corvette is like, dude, no, don't. But
yeah,
I love patina, don't get me wrong, but I hate fake patina. Like, obviously, I've seen some guys do it that I don't know that it's fake.
Yeah.
But patina wraps, no, don't do it. I've actually seen some cars that are wrapped like the day they bought them, like the next day take it and get it wrapped, which is cool, because 5 years you take the freaking wrap off and then you still have a brand new paint job under it.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about the wrap too is, like you get tired of it one day, peel it off, and then you got your original painted car, and then you can just get it wrapped something different later on. It's not a big deal. So, right. But and I've seen some wraps that had it was like a collage scene from like really cool movies,
yeah,
and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like I just think the full body wraps are really cool. I mean, I have seen some that I just didn't really like, but all in all, a lot of the times when I see a full body wrap, I usually think of the. It actually kind of reminds me of the like the touring cars.
Right. So I have a bunch of buddies that do. It's called Express Rally around here, where and there's a lot of high end cars like like Audi R8s and stuff like that. And those guys will take them and have them wrapped about every time. They'll do a different wrap. Like one of my buddies did like Dale Jr.'s Wrangler wrap on his Lamborghini, and it looked cool, but you know, it's just like, but he peeled it off after it's done.
Yeah.
I do like wraps though. I think they're great for changing your car up, and then like, because yeah, you spend 20 grand on a paint job, you ain't gonna want to change it later.
No, and it's hard to do. Like it's, you know,
Right.
it'd be super expensive to change anything on it.
But yeah, I'm a fan of wraps. They've came a long ways.
I agree.
If it's done right and not done in your driveway.
Yeah. I feel like wraps are good enough that you would have to do something like super corny for it to be like, oh man, you've ruined that car. Because I've seen some really dumb ones, but because it was like a full wrap and because it was so dumb, it was funny. So like, even though it wasn't cool, you're like, well, that's hilarious, you know. Like, I saw one where it was a Corvette and the round tail lights was the eyes of SpongeBob and Patrick. And
yeah, I saw that.
You know what I mean? And it was just so dumb that it was funny. And I'm like, I like it. Like, it was just so, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I think it's really hard to do a wrap that I would look at me like you've ruined your car, because it either looks really cool or it looks stupid enough that it's funny. So
right.
However, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about Lambo doors?
I'm not a fan. I think 20 years ago, I thought they was cool on certain cars. Like, certain cars can pull it off. Like, I saw some Corvettes that had them, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if it makes your car like hard to get in and out of, then why?
I feel like 90, this is going to be like a 90, 95% of the time, if you've put Lambo doors on a car, you've ruined it, because it's an acquired taste. It's something that most people's not going to like. It's going to be something that's either loved or hated. Like, there's no in between. Either people see it and they're like, that is so awesome, I love it, or they're going to say that is the most disgusting, hideous thing you've ever done, and you should be shot in your backyard for doing such a thing.
Now, gold wing doors is different. I love gold wing doors.
Gold wing doors are sick. That'd be hard to do, though.
Yeah, and they got to be on the right car.
Yeah.
But Lambo doors,
I feel like a T-top car could pull it off. If you was to take your T, like for instance, like Reaper's a T-top car. If you was to take the glass out of the T-top and then do like a custom frame where the T-top is actually a part of the door,
right?
Then that could be a gold wing door style setup.
But like that Charger Challenger with gold wing doors, the Mustang, what is that, a Corvette?
Yeah.
That actually almost don't look bad, but still no.
My opinion on it is, if you can get a nice quality set in a good professional shop that can do it, so that way, especially if you get the ones that's motorized, so you just push the button and they pop out on their own and they open up, then that's good. But the problem is that when the whole pandemic of everyone wanting Lambo doors first came out, they were awesome when they first came out. They were new, they were different, it was exotic, you know, like, oh, that's so cool. But the problem was, since everyone wanted them, there was a plethora of these absolute dirt cheap universal kits,
right,
that came out. So everyone was buying these $60, $120 universal kits, and you can't get some flimsy, cheap China universal kit to work properly. It's going to be trash.
Right.
And then it's ruined the car. I used to work at a speed shop, and I'm not even going to say what kind of car it was, because I don't want to out this guy if he happens to be watching. But there was a car there, and it had Lambo doors on it. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, because I love them. I think they're great. But again, like, I hate that 95% of them are just trash done. So I immediately go over to this car, and it was there for some engine work. And I'm like, well, I'm going to check this thing out, before my shift starts. And when you, in order to do it, you open the door normal. So you pull the door handle and you would pull the door out about 4 inches. And then after you pulled it out about 4 inches, then you would lift it up into like the Lambo state where it would come up. But the problem is that, one sec, guys. I think I've got an important phone call coming in here.
All right. My personal opinion of Lambo doors is I don't really care for them, but I've seen Fieros actually that can pull off the Lambo doors, and I mean I've seen certain cars that can pull it off, but I don't know. Lambo doors to me is just, well, like he said, it's overdone. Too many shoddy jobs, and then I've actually seen some where they actually have to cut like structural parts out of the car to make them work. And then to me, that ruins a car because, well, there's no putting it back when you're done. So, yeah, I think Lambo doors kind of ruin the car. Now, if I buy a Lamborghini and it has Lambo doors, then obviously, yeah, that's cool. But that Dodge Challenger with Lambo doors, it kind of looks like Bumblebee.
Alrighty, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no big deal. I hold it down the fort.
Luckily, it was good news. It was no bad news.
Oh, it's always a good thing.
I realized my mic was muted. I didn't want to interrupt you. Do you are you finishing a story up there?
Oh, yeah, I'm done.
Oh, okay. I'll go back here in a little bit and rewatch it to see what you were saying. So anyways, you open the door handle and you pull the door out about 4 inches or so, and then you lift it up. But the problem with it was, again, one of these cheap universal kits. So as you're raising it up, it's like wobbling side to side. And then when it gets up there, it's not even straight up and down. The doors are like out like this. And like every time the wind blows, they're doing this. So it just looks cheap. And then when you go to close it, it wasn't a smooth operation. Like you had to bring the door down, and the door could come down too far. Like you could raise it or lower it down too far. So once you brought the door down, you had to line it up properly with the hinge and then close it.
Oh,
so it was horrible. So
and that's what I was saying. Some of those kits, you actually have to cut out part of the structural part of the car.
Yeah.
And that does ruin the car literally because there's no putting that back without a whole bunch of fab work.
Oh, yeah. So I feel like in this type of mod, absolutely. If you are not getting a vehicle specific kit that is high quality with thick flanges and has a smooth operation to it, so that way it's not janky trying to get it closed and it's not wiggling, flopping all over the place. If you're not getting a good quality shop to install it and a good quality kit, you've ruined your car.
Agreed.
Now, I'm planning on doing something really weird, and it's going to be a love it or hate it thing, and I don't care because it's my car. People can hate it all they want because I'm going to love it. I'm going to do a Koenigsegg style operation hinge, the dihedral hinge, but it's going to be reversed. So it's actually going to open. It's going to open like up to the back.
Well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, yep, and it'll all be automated too. With I've already got it planned on how I was going to do it with the with an electric actuator. So the way the hinge system is set up is it's a very fluid motion where as it pushes out, it's gear driven. So because it's gear driven, it's very solid. There's no flex or movement to it. And as the door opens, the motion of the hinge opening causes this cog to rotate. and it will automatically flip the door up as it comes around. So the operation, like you can't move the door in and out or up and down independently. Like as it moves, it's one fluid motion because it's gear driven.
See, I can stand behind that. That's cool.
Yeah. So once I get started on that, that'll make a really good video for you guys. I'm super excited to get started on that. But yeah, that'll be a love it or hate it. There's going to be so many Camaro guys that's going to hate me for that. The guys that I'm talking about, that's like, if you don't have a drag pack and a turbo, then your Camaro's trash. Yeah, those guys.
See, you talk about Camaros and drag packs. I absolutely love the weld wheels, the newer ones, the black and silver ones.
I like those. Yeah,
but
they are highly popular for sure.
They're on everything. Although they will make anything look good, because I seen some on a Tesla and it even looked good, and I was like,
yeah. I mean, honestly, I even debated on getting them myself. Luckily, though, I got hooked up with a forged wheel company, and they offered to sponsor me. So as soon as I am able to get started on getting the wheels situated, then I'll have a really nice set of wheels that'll be custom made for Reaper. So that'll be another cool episode for you guys once I can get to it.
This hurts my head.
All right, Ray. What's your opinion here, buddy? Can an exhaust system ruin your car?
Absolutely. 100%. I know that this big, tall Stinger type exhaust originated in Japan. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I had a 72 Baja Bug that had, the Stinger exhaust on it. And I thought it was cool. But this, no, absolutely not. I absolutely hate it. And exhaust, yes, it can definitely make or break your car. Like the center exhaust, like on a Corvette, I see people try to do that on certain cars. Like if I tried to do that on my Le Mans, it wouldn't look good. I couldn't pull it off. Yeah. There's no way to tie it in and make it look good. But it looks good on the Corvette and certain other cars.
Right.
But that, God, no, I don't even know and I hate stacks too. Like, if you want to put stacks on your diesel, go buy a Kenworth, man. Like your freaking Power Stroke is not a Kenworth. Don't do that. It's just like the 5-inch exhaust tip. Hell, I've seen them like 8 or 10. Look like a trash can.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you got 5-inch exhaust going into
bad boys right here.
Yeah. Like, no. Exhaust can absolutely ruin a car.
I agree 100%. And this is coming from someone who is now currently on their 7th iteration of an exhaust plan for a car. The 8-1 header that I built for Reaper is the 7th time that I have changed the exhaust on Reaper. And I'm getting ready to do it one last time. And I'm about 99% sure this will be the last time I ever change it. So we'll see.
Okay, so I got an exhaust plan for the Le Mans, and some people is going to love it, some people is going to hate it, but I'm putting NASCAR boom tube on it.
Yes, I will love that. I think those are awesome.
It's going with a high compression 6-liter NA.
Yes.
Nasty cam, manual transmission, NASCAR boom tube exhaust. It's going to handle good. It's going to look good. It's going to run good. I'm tired of the race car thing.
I am all about that. Every single thing you just said is a big yes for me. Every bit of that. That sounds sick.
And I've seen like bed exit exhaust on trucks. Some of them can pull them off. Just like fender exits. I'm not a huge fan of fender exits.
Yeah.
But I've seen some of them who like just fish that exhaust just right, where they cut it on that bend and they got the right bezel and it looks good.
Yeah.
But then you got the bull horns on race cars, and I do not like those either.
I can't stand how they look, but I did find out that if you're above a certain horsepower, did you know that that literally has thrust to it and it helps to keep the nose of the car down?
I can see that.
Yeah. See, because now I'm the same way. Like, even though I understand that it has a function, I think they look hideous. I think that the clean cut fender exits where it has like the hole with the little decorative like chrome trim around it, or the polished aluminum trim around where the pipes exit in the fender, but it's kind of like flush with the fender.
Yeah.
I think that looks the best for a fender exit. But I understand that there's a functionality to the bullhorns. The shop that I used to work at, PSI, I used to work at that shop for Frank Soldridge. And he's a very, very well-known guy in the radial world. He's actually, at one point, I believe he held a world record for radial. If I'm not mistaken, I could be misquoting there. Pretty sure he held a world record at one time, radial record. Anyways, his car was, depending on the track that he was on and what boost level he had it at, was anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 horsepower. And the bullhorn stacks, the way that they were set up, we were looking at and we were discussing like how much thrust that it made, and we didn't have an exact number. We were just kind of like throwing guesses around. But what he was showing me, he showed me some footage of when he had like the fender exit just going kind of straight out, and he had a really tough time with the car wheeling. Even on the big end, when it would really start kicking in high boost, the car would start to wheelie. And when he switched to the bullhorns, it stayed down.
What's your thoughts on diesel trucks with a hood exit?
I feel like it's kind of like Reaper right now with the hood exit. You've essentially ruined the car or the truck in being able to have your windows down. So it's one of those things, like it's kind of cool for like a race car type thing, but as for a street vehicle, I feel like it really does ruin a street car.
But you definitely ruin your hood. So
yeah,
I had a hood exit on the Le Mans at one point with no hood on it though.
Yeah.
And I figured out real quick that I did not like that, because with the windows down, it automatically, all the exhaust went right in the car. I was like, okay, this is stupid.
Yeah.
And not to mention running E85, which has a ton of like water comes out of it. When you fire up your car, all that goes where? On the windshield.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like here. Let's see. I'll get this pulled up. Reaper has just had this set up just since the second no name, and it was which it doesn't have it right here. There was another piece that went on that went further up that did the right here it is in this picture. You can see it right here. It comes on up. Yeah. So it was a hood exit, but like you said, without a hood, and super cool at nighttime. You can see the blue flames shooting out of the hood. Super cool on the racetrack. But when we were in Soxton and we drove down to Lamberts and back, just that short of a drive, it was choking me out. So looks cool, sounds cool, but if I was to try to say that I was going to leave it like that, ruined then, really.
Reaper sounds wicked.
Appreciate it.
That video with me and you racing, your car at high RPM and mine like boost, you can hear both of them.
Oh,
it sounds freaking crazy, man.
Yeah, I love the whoosh whoosh noises that yours was making. That's literally what my hoodie says on the back right here. There's a big turbo on my hoodie and it says whoosh whoosh noises.
So I started teaching automotive at Franklin Tech in the evenings, and I drove the Le Mans up there so I could show my students, and they talked me into putting it on two-step in the shop. Bad idea. Like 3 custodians come running down there. They thought there was gunshots.
Oh.
So I'm like, all right, let's not do that again.
Sorry, guys.
That's not an indoor. It's not an indoor event.
Yeah. See, my new plan is you ever play Gran Turismo any?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you remember it or not, but there's a 2000 model Camaro on there. It wasn't a real car, but it was a Gran Turismo created car. It was the 2000 LM race car Camaro. It was a 2000 model.
I think I remember it.
I got a picture of it on my phone, but well, let's see. Yeah, I got a picture of it right here on my phone. I guess I could pull it up, just show it to the camera. But anyways, this is the new design that I'm going for the car, paint scheme and all. The only difference is instead of like the Gran Turismo logos, I'm going to have, like Torque Racing Production, and instead of like the Polyphony Digital logo and stuff like that'll be, probably like Holly Terminator or whatever, what was it called? When a company helps you out with parts and stuff. What's it called? Sponsorship. Yeah. So instead of these that's on there, it'll be whatever sponsorships that I have, but it's going to be the exact same design build and everything. See if you guys can see it there.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So that car right there, same wheels. I'm going to be building a spoiler and stuff like that, So that's the design that the car is going to be going towards. And it has side exit exhaust just before the rear tires. So I'm going to be leaving the 8-in-1 because I love the way that sounds. But instead of coming up through the roof now, like right through here, it's going to be doubling back and going straight back this way and then Ying to go out the sides, just like the car in the game.
That'd be cool.
So I'm keeping the same header. The only difference is it's going to be side exit. So it should still sound pretty epic. I hope anyways. So I think once I do that, I'll be able to say that as far as exhaust goes, I will have not ruined the car at that point.
But you have a purpose-built car, though. I mean, that's
yeah.
I don't see purpose-built. Even the drag cars with like fender exits and bullhorns and stuff, that's not necessarily ruining a car. But if you have a say you have a Volkswagen Jetta diesel turbo,
yeah,
and you cut the exhaust off and put a hood exit on it, you ruined it.
Yeah. Well, I think, which, when it comes to exhaust too, I feel like that kind of comes back to like the whole donk situation. If it's what you really love and you're not doing it for attention, then you may have ruined the car, but who cares? Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, I think donk cars are ruined. I think if you got a donk car, you got a car that's on 30-inch wheels, that car to me is ruined. But if you love it, then that's cool, man. More power to you. You build your car the way you want because that's your car.
Right.
Because you wouldn't believe on all my videos of Reaper's exhaust whenever I first got it built and I took it to the dyno and stuff like that, the comment section was split. I'd say 70-30. About 70% of the comments was people saying that's the coolest sounding car they've ever heard and blah, blah, blah. And then the other 30% was saying it sounded terrible. It looked dumb. They couldn't believe that I ruined my car and now a hood will never fit on it and, all this other stuff. So like, and I don't care. You know what I mean? It could have been 100% of people saying it sounded terrible and they thought it was ugly, but I love it. So I'm never going to change it. So what do you think about engine swaps? Can an engine swap ruin a car?
Yes and no. Like, I'm a big fan of LS swaps because like everything I've got's got an LS in it. But I hate seeing like somebody take a Grand National and an LS swap in it. because it's kind of a rare car, you know. But at the same time, like if you blow up the turbo V6, then why not?
Yeah.
I don't think engine swaps can, I suppose, run a car, but if it's done right, no, I think some of the coolest things, and that goes back to hot rodding from the beginning of time, is, you know, engine swapping your car. Hell, I'm putting a aluminum LC9 in a Porsche 944 right now, so
Yeah, that's cool.
the Porsche purists are like, but they hate the 944 anyway because it's not a real Porsche in their opinion. So,
Right.
And I don't know. This one's a toss up for me, but for the most part, I say no. I don't think swaps run anything.
I agree. I think I think the only way that an engine swap would ruin a car would be the only way an engine swap would ruin a car would be one of two situations. One, you had a super cool car to begin with, you know, like you said, like you had an all original GMC Cyclone, or like a Typhoon or a Grand National, and you LS swapped it. You know, I love the LS engine, but if someone had a Typhoon and they LS swapped, that'll be like, you know. If you had a Ferrari, you know, let's just say you had a Ferrari F430 and you LS swapped it, but the Ferrari engine was still good, like, nah, you kind of ruined that car. You know what I mean?
No.
So like if, or if you have even if you have like a normal car, like say you got a Corvette with an LS1, but then you engine swap it to a Corolla 4-cylinder. Yeah, you've ruined that car.
Somebody K24 swapped one, and it was slow. I mean, it was slower. It was probably as fast as the stock LS1, but you didn't really prove a point.
Right. I mean, if I think the point that I was trying to get to there was, is as long as you're not losing any kind of performance, then I think an engine swap is cool. As long as it wasn't a rare engine, you know, like I said, like the Typhoon or something like that. Then I'm actually a big fan of engine swaps. I think if the engine you're putting in is faster and bigger, then I love it. And I don't even care what it is. I have a friend, his name's Jared, and he 2J swapped his Trans Am.
See, that's cool.
And it's laying down over 1,000 horsepower.
That's like the Nibla or the Nelson boys.
Yeah.
The Calvin and his dad putting a 4200 turbo swap and everything. Man, I'm a fan, and I'm going to do it eventually.
Yeah.
I just don't know what yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a fan of engine swaps. And unless you're putting a Hellcat engine in something, then throw it away.
See, like I'm so pro engine swap. Like, again, as long as it fits the criteria of you're doing something better or cooler, you know, that even as much as I consider myself to be a pretty well-rounded car guy. Like, I may favor GM, but there's plenty of Dodges that I love. There's plenty of Fords that I love. There's plenty of Toyotas and imports and Supras and Skylines. Like, I love a little bit of everything.
Same.
But I do favor GM. But I love engine swaps enough that you could take some little Chevrolet, like, I don't know, say you take a Cavalier or a Chevy Capri. Let's just say a Chevy Capri. You take a Chevy Capri and you drop in some big, massive, Ford, like a big turbo Ford big block. Even though that's a Ford engine going in a Chevy, that's cool.
There's a guy on TikTok. I think he's on YouTube too. He's got a black 67 or 8 Firebird. He put a Coyote in it.
Yeah.
Man, he catches a lot of hell, but
I guarantee it.
The
Because
cars,
it's pretty normal to see Mustangs doing LS swaps, even though Ford guys hate it. But you don't see too many people doing Ford swaps into GMs.
it's called the Bondo Bird. Check it out sometime. Look it up.
I'll have to go check that out.
I'm friends with the guy. It's cool. I had some guys giving me crap about my Pontiac being LS swapped. So I posted pictures of his car on the Pontiac site, and those Pontiac guys lost their ever mind.
That's funny. You know, especially with, you know, we live in Kentucky, and, you know, if it's not either Ford or Chevy, then it's garbage. That's just kind of how the mentality of this region is over here, you know. So when my buddy's 2J Trans Am rolled into the arm drops, I expected it to get a lot of hate, but surprisingly, everyone thought it was pretty cool.
I'll be honest with you though. I would list the 2J as one of the most overrated engines on the planet. I love them and everything, but my gosh, people worship the 2J and is like, they're really not that strong either. Like you get to a certain horsepower range and you have to get a billet block, and I don't know. I'm just
I feel like the 2J following is a lot like, and again, I have an LS. I feel like the 2J following is a lot like the LS following.
it is.
It's a great engine, but I feel like people make it out to be more than it is.
Right.
You know, the LS is a great engine, but there's people who literally think that engine is God's gift to man. And as much as I love the LS engine and I know how capable it is, it's not the greatest engine that's ever been made.
No, I mean,
same as the 2J, you know, good engine, but it's not the end all be all greatest engine ever made.
Right. And I believe every engine has a purpose too. Like I wouldn't LS swap everything. Close, but not everything. And that goes back to mainly like the ease and price of LS swapping stuff is the reason why I do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get good horsepower. It's a smaller package, so you can put it in vehicles easier. I mean, it's affordability. There's a ton of parts out there, so that's why I do it.
Yeah.
You know, if the Coyote was more attainable and the price was lower, hell, I'd Coyote swap something just for the hell of it. But
they're starting to come down now. I've actually got a guy, he's on my Facebook. I wouldn't say I'm friends with him, but we're like car associates, so to speak. But he sells a lot of Coyote engines and stuff. And he seems to find really good deals on them. The reason I wouldn't do one, and I'm not downplaying the Coyote engine, it's a good power making engine for sure. It definitely rivals the LS, but it's a lot, you know, it's a lot more complicated than the LS is. You know, the LS is old fashioned push rod V8 with a cam. You know, where that's I'm almost positive don't the newer Coyote engines have like variable valve timing and quad cam dual overhead cams or something like that?
And they have the cam phasers that go bad. You know, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to fail.
Yeah, so I mean, like they make great power, but to me, especially me being on a budget, the last thing I want to do is have to be worried about buying 4 cams instead of 1.
Right.
You know.
You know, and that goes back to the age-old Ford versus Chevy battle. You know, I mean, let's face it, though. The reason why every Mustang out there at the track has an LS engine, they're cheap and they make good power.
Yeah.
You can make 700 horsepower and not even change the cam. You just throw a freaking crap ton of boost at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what Reaper's set up for right now. It's stock heads, stock pistons, stock crank, and everything. And when I have the money for it, which I need to focus on cage and brakes and stuff like that first. But once we put the turbo on it, my tuner's already calculated that between 12.5 to 14 pounds of boost, that Reaper will be making 700 to 750 horsepower. And with a conservative tune where you're not getting any chance of detonation, you're being real conservative on the timing and such, so that way it's safe. Even at 700 horsepower, the pistons, rods, and crank is going to last as long as you're safe with the tune.
Well, that's like the Le Mans. It's been 650 something in the eighth, which if you do the math and the ET calculators and everything, the car makes like 740 at the wheels.
Nice. That's awesome.
I mean, that's impressive, and that's on 14 pounds of boost.
Yeah.
Now the problem is I can't seem to get it to work, so it spins. So.
Right. I tell you what, I've got a friend of mine. His name's Brandon, and he built a purpose-built truck for no prep races on hard tire. And that normally doesn't sound like that would be two things that go together, a no prep surface and a hard tire. But this guy, his truck, he's making, I want to say his truck's putting down somewhere around 11 to 1,200 horsepower. And on a hard tire, I want to say a 220 tread wear rated tire, he is 60 footing the same that Reaper is on slicks.
Damn.
I mean, it's again purpose built, no prep truck. So he's got like tons of weight mounted in the back of the truck, and you know what I mean, and suspension set up just for no prep. So obviously that's a lot different than a road course car.
What's your fastest 60 foot?
1.4.
Mine's 149.
Is it?
On slicks.
Yeah, the same. I'm on the best 60 foot I've ever cut was at the second No Name Nationals, because that was a brand new setup for the car, so that was the fastest it's ever been. He's cutting the same 60 foot on a hard tire.
That's crazy to me.
It can be done, you know what I mean? It's just you got to figure out that formula. All right, here's the last topic that we have for the night.
Wow. Aero is cool, especially if it's a purpose-built car.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see the cars putting the front splitters and rear. What's that called? Where it's got the all the stuff on the rear bumper.
Diffuser.
Yep. So done right, it looks cool. Those no, that one's a race car though. So,
I was gonna say this one right here is one's an actual race car. He tracks it. This is not, and this is an actual track car. This is a time attack car.
Right. So Aero's cool, especially if it's functional.
Yeah.
Like that little wing I put on my car, it's not just for looks. It's function.
100%.
I did a lot of math on the angle of it, and it actually helps put downforce on the car, especially at like above 140. And I need to do some front aero on the car too to make it like suck down a little more.
Yeah. Link up with me, brother, because aerodynamics is my specialty. I may not be wise in many areas. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, so I know a little bit everywhere and not a whole lot anywhere except aerodynamics.
I'll reach out to you. But
I love aerodynamics.
The problem is a lot of these guys will go to AutoZone and get those stick-on, what the hell are they called, the little wings that goes on the bumpers and like across the top like the Evo.
The bumper canards and the vortex generators.
Which purpose built, they're cool, but if you just stick them on your factory bumper, and don't have a reason for it
Yeah.
on your Ford Focus, then yeah, no, it's not.
I've been studying fluid dynamics for many years now. I've not went to like an official school for it, but I've done a lot of I've ordered a lot of books, like bought actual books that you would use in the actual schools for fluid dynamics and stuff like that. So like I've been studying it for many, many years, and something I've learned about it is aerodynamics and fluid dynamics has only a certain, like a really small percentage degree of certainty. Like, you know that air is going to do something approximately when something is introduced into the airstream, but any knowledgeable person in aerodynamics and fluid dynamics will tell you that something that might work 1,000 times in a row on these particular vehicles or aircraft is not guaranteed to work on this one over here.
Right.
There's so many variables. I have literally seen where people would put fender vents in, like right here. I don't know if you can, let's see, right here. I don't know if you can see it very good or not because it's a small picture, but right here, this guy's got a lot of very large front fender vents right here.
Right.
To help pull the air that's getting trapped in the front fender well out. I have seen, I have a lot of YouTube guys that I watch that are professional track guys that build aero for a living, and they do a lot of testing in the wind tunnel, so they've got numbers to back their data up. And I have seen where people would increase the vent size from, say, a 3-inch vent to a 6-inch vent. Not only would they gain 30 to 40 pounds of downforce on the front, but it would also affect the airstream going back. And depending on the car, I'd see where some cars would gain front downforce but lose rear downforce because they were getting like a disruptive flow of air coming out over top of the car, and it would take downforce away from the rear of the car.
Yeah.
And then the exact opposite. Sometimes I'd see where they would add a hood scoop, and the added airflow would actually smooth the laminar connection across the roof and give it more downforce on the back of the car.
Right.
So so for someone to look at you and say, I added an extractor vent on my fender and I gained rear downforce, the average person is going to say BS. You know, it just sounds kind of counterintuitive. Like, well, how did you gain rear downforce by adding a vent to the front of your car? But fluid dynamics is so complex, and I'm so passionate about it. But it's just so complex that nothing is certain, and everything has to be tested in order to actually know if it worked or not. And this winter, while the car is down and I'm not going to the racetracks and stuff like that, I've already started collecting the tools that I need to test air pressures across the surface of a car. So once I get all of my pieces together, I'll be able to do about 80% of what a person could do in a wind tunnel.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I'm doing it just because I love it. But I mean, if anybody wants to reach out to me to lower their drag coefficient on their drag truck or car or whatever, or their track car, and they want to add more downforce, then I'll be more than happy to help them with it, and they can pay me a little bit for it, whatever. But once I get that, man, there should be some cool videos that I'll be slapping on all kinds of nice, boring scientific videos for you guys on aerodynamics.
I love aerodynamics.
I do too, man. It's a very fast, like right here, like this Civic right here. A lot of people talk so much trash about the Civic because it looks horrible. I mean, it's as pretty as a mud fence. I think we can all agree on that. This thing's hideous. But what this guy has managed to do is decrease the drag coefficient of this Civic in half of what it was in stock form. So he's greatly increased its fuel economy, greatly reduced its aerodynamic drag, and to me, I think that's cool because
See, I would love to do the Bonneville Salt Flat stuff and
yeah,
like standing mile runs.
that's cool stuff.
That is cool stuff. That's expensive stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think, though, man? Do you think aero can ruin a car, though?
I think it can.
Yes, I agree. Because the reason I think that it can totally ruin a car, especially if you get like this guy right here and you just get AutoZone happy, that's doing nothing but creating drag. I doubt that this guy has increased any downforce. If anything, he's probably reduced the fuel mileage of that car by about 5 miles per gallon, most likely.
And made it look bad in the process.
Oh yeah, it looks hideous. No offense to that guy, but sorry, that is horrendous.
If that's your car, I apologize. But
yeah. But see, but then again, like this guy, this Civic is completely hideous, but he has made it fully functional and it has a purpose. So to me, that's cool.
Right.
But see, at one point, Reaper's going to end up having this kind of time attack aero on the car, once I get to that point. But that's going to be from extensive testing. I'm probably going to go through 20 different rear wings and 20 different chin spoilers and everything until I get the size and the shape and everything that I need to make the downforce that I want. So,
well, I'll probably reach out to you on this 944 once I start doing some track stuff.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, you start doing aero stuff, hit me up. Because not only, even if it's just to tell me what you're doing, just because I love aero stuff, but I'd be more than happy to help out. And once I get my testing equipment, especially if you start to get serious about it, then that would be a good chance for us to do a nice little collaboration video where we actually test before and after air pressures across the car, before and after different aero mods that you do to it. So that way we can see if you actually gained any downforce or if you hurt downforce,
Right.
So yeah, man, I'm all for it.
Sounds like you got something going on in the background there.
Yeah, the kids promised me that they'd be quiet, but I think it's getting close to that bedtime now, so they're starting to get a little, that second wind that kids get.
Yeah. Well, mine's getting past my supper time.
Oh, really? Well, let's see. That's it. That's all the topics that I have. Did you have any additional topics?
Fake wide body kits.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen some bad ones.
Yeah.
I've seen some bad ones.
I'll just throw that out there. Fake wide body. If you put Bushwhacker fender flares on your Ford Focus,
and then the 3-inch hub spacers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
That'll be another show.
I agree with that one. That's pretty rough too. Have you done anything to the Le Mans that you kind of regretted? Like, have you ever done anything to it that you thought that might have kind of ruined it and you had to change it or anything?
Not really. I haven't done anything that I can't change back.
Right.
The rear spoiler design, but like I said, that's something that I nut zerred. I put in those the nut sleeves in my trunk lid.
Yeah.
So that spoiler's bolted on. So I did it to where as long as I use the same bolt spacing, I can switch up the rear spoiler design, which I'm going to because I'm going to put an adjustable spoiler on it. No, not really. I haven't really done anything that I can't change.
That's good. I've done a few things to Reaper that I look back on and I was like, man, that was a complete waste of money. and stuff. When I first bought Reaper, it was definitely a show car. Even like you could daily drive it and stuff like that, but it was definitely a show car. It had 20-inch wheels on it, and had a full body kit. The paint was like pristine. It looked amazing. I built a custom sound system for it. It was not cheap by any means. It was pretty high dollar sound system, but I built some of it myself and coated the box in leather and had special. I had a special emblem made that said Project Reaper. This is before I was making my own stuff with my laser machine and stuff. And but what I'd done that I felt like ruined it was because the car was a show car at that time. I'd installed a lot of neon lights around like the sub equipment and the amplifier, and I had I built an amp rack that was kind of like a floating. It made the amp look like it was floating. And I had neons underneath of it. So it looked like, it was just like the light was holding the amp up. And, but I also had neons like under the hood area, around the engine, in the interior, under the seats, and like under the car. And that was, like I said, that was when I first bought Reaper, but I was doing a lot of car shows and stuff. So then as soon as I started getting into racing the car, that's when I looked at all that stuff and I was like, I kind of wish I didn't do all that now, because now I don't like it. I kind of feel like I ruined what the car is, and I ripped it all out.
I can agree with Levi on that. Mismatched parts. It doesn't necessarily ruin a car, but it can definitely waste all. I know a guy who has a turbo LS car that is slow as hell, because like it's got the wrong intake, got the wrong, just wrong cam. Everything's wrong. It's fighting against itself.
Yeah.
It's like, how come your car's so much faster than mine? Well, because I know what I'm doing, kind of. So trial and error. Anybody should be able to build a turbo LS car and go fast. All you got to do is go on watch Richard Holdner videos and like pick one of his combinations, and you should be able to go fast. He's got some
good info out there.
He actually sent me one of his cams to try, and I was like, "How much you want for it?" He's like, "Just shout me out on your video." I was like, "Cool, man."
Heck yeah.
Having Richard Holdner's number in my phone is kind of handy sometimes.
Yeah. He told me that, once I finish getting the car put back together, I'm not going to throw the 8-1 headers back on it directly. I'm going to borrow a set of shorty headers and a set of regular off-the-shelf long tube headers, and I'm going to take them to the dyno, and we're going to put the shorty headers on, tune it, dyno it, then swap them out for the long tubes, tune it for max power that we can, and then dyno it, and then put my 8-1 back on it and tune it. So we're going to do a back-to-back run between these three headers, and I'm going to make a video that shows what the power band difference is between shorty, long tube, and my 8-1 headers that I built. And I was on one of Richard's lives, not as a guest, just in the chat, and I sent him a message through the chat, and I was like, here's what I'm planning on doing. And he told me that once I get that done, to let him know that he would join me on a live talking about the dyno graphs and why they made what they did and such. So
yeah, we had him on the Pontiac Power Hour, and he is a smart dude.
Yep, I agree 100%. That's something me and him was just talking about a second ago. I don't know if you saw the picture or not. Let me pull it up here. Let's see. Uh-oh, I lost it. There it is. I found it.
Right. Yeah,
there it is. There you go, Levi. Yeah, that's the topic we were on just a few minutes ago.
Wings have a purpose. even factory wings. People don't realize that there's aerodynamic tests that goes into, like, not all cars. I mean, some are just on there to make a body line different, but you know, there's a lot of cars that everything's on there for a reason.
Yep. Yeah, I've actually seen a lot of factory cars that would have like fake fender vents and fake diffusers and stuff like that to try to sell the car as being sporty.
Right.
But then I've seen some cars that had the Porsche actually, when the 911 came out and they realized the car was like dangerously tail happy. They didn't have any kind of rear spoiler or anything on it, and they put just a nice little tiny, it was like a 3-inch gurney flap style little duckbill spoiler, and it produced, I can't remember how much exactly, but it was somewhere in the ballpark of like 50 pounds of downforce, like just from that little duckbill, and it was enough to make the car stable. So like the next models after that all had that little duckbill on it, you know.
Well, that's like the Dodge Daytona, the wing cars.
Oh yeah,
that goofy wing had a purpose.
It got banned after what, like it only raced in like 2 or 3 races, and then they banned it.
Right, because it went over 200 miles an hour.
And it was lapping. It was starting to lap the field.
Right, because they have a wedge out on the track racing against a bunch of bricks. Somebody figured out aerodynamics back then.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely, like I said though, it's one of those things that it requires testing, and because fluid dynamics is so complicated, most people don't understand it like they think they do. And I can say this from personal experience. Before I started studying it and buying the textbooks and learning all about it and things, you know, the generalized knowledge that I thought that I had of it at the beginning of all that, you know, so many things were actually kind of counterintuitive and didn't actually make any sense, or things that I thought would be useless. Like when I would see a car like this, I would laugh at it and be like, you know, I'm like, that is ridiculous. Like that, you don't need a wing that big. Like, but then when I really started learning about what downforce was and how it acted, and I started learning like what a time attack car was, I'm like, oh, okay, you actually do need one that big, and that thing is legit. Like it's actually doing work. Like this wing right here on this car, if I was to just take a guess based on what I know about time attack cars, I would say that this right here is probably producing anywhere between 600 to 800 pounds of downforce. That's a lot.
Right. I'm not an expert on downforce and stuff like that, but aerodynamics. But I do understand enough of it to where I can probably get myself in trouble. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of stuff that's not real functional anymore.
Yeah, I agree with Levi too. That was another topic we were talking about just a little bit ago, was, you know, the stanced cars and camber and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Not a fan.
If you're getting stuck on a speed bump, it's you've probably ruined the car. But then again, you know, okay, now taken away from stance, we're just talking about just lowered. You know, you take cars like, say, the Ferrari F40. You know, that car wouldn't have went over a speed bump. But man, if that wasn't one of the greatest cars ever made.
Right.
That car was a driver's car for sure. That'll be in actually, that car is going to be kind of pivotal too about the next video that we're going to be doing, talking about the difference between what a street car is and what a race car is and stuff like that, because that car fits in that gray area. What about you, Levi? Have you done anything to a car that you look back on and you think, man, I've ruined this car? Because I know I have plenty of times.
I did build that all-wheel drive truck. I built a little bed wing for it, and it kind of looked cool, and then I took it back off. I was like, nah, it's not. It's no.
Levi, I don't know, man. I would love to. I hated that I missed this last one. Absolutely hated that I missed this last one. I was watching your all lives and stuff like that from home and stuff, and just wishing so bad that I could be there with you guys. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not. I hope so. I would really like to. So we'll see.
Yeah, same here. Honestly, I'm kind of glad I didn't go after seeing how fast some of those cars was. Jesus, there's some people brought some cars this time.
Well, listen, when Dallas gets outran, you know that there's some heavy hitters there.
Right.
I don't care. I still would have threw Reaper's tiny little butt in the mix anyway, just because I love going out there and swinging for the fences like a madman for no reason whatsoever.
Oh, we all know how to pin my wastegate and freaking either blew it up or got it.
That would have been awesome.
I'm giving it all the boost. Oh, man. Well, man, I hate to jump off here, but I got to go eat dinner.
Yeah, I was thinking it's about that time. I think I got to get these kids ready for bed.
All right, man. Well, next time you want to have me on, let me know, and I'll get on here.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan. Like I said, the next video is going to be the discussion about what makes a car a street car and you know what makes one a race car. So,
all right, man. Just let me know.
I'll let you guys know when it is for sure.
All right. Had fun, man.
See you guys.
Yep.
Well, Levi, appreciate you guys tuning in. Unfinished project. Appreciate everybody. Colleen Tebow and Mopars, Mustangs, Minivans, Junkyard D. All you guys. Appreciate you all for dropping in and hitting the comments. And stay tuned next time for our next live when we discuss what really makes a car a street car and can you really call yours a street car. See you guys later.